All right, it's time for another weekly Squardle. If you're not familiar with Squardle, this is number 159, by the way. Squardle is like Wordle, but on a grid. We have 10 words in here. We're guessing a row and a column at the same time. And this 8 is how many guesses we have remaining. And let's see, I'm going to try and maximize my number of remaining guesses today. So a lot of times I like to start with store. I think I'm going to do my media and cough today. Although, do I want to do that? You know, some people have pointed out that doing vowels on the first row is probably not as good. So maybe I should do it the other way around. Just do 2 vowels on the first row and then media second. I don't know. Who knows? Okay. Okay, well, I mean, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Getting the C and the U, I'm not mad about that. We don't really have anything to go on otherwise. But let's just go ahead and do media, okay? Well, I don't know how it's going to end up, whether it's going to work out that this was the better way to do the starting 2 words this time or not. But definitely, it's pretty good. I got 3 greens. And there's an M. Okay, so, I mean, we could do something like clump. Clump would be good. There's a U here. There's also a U in the row somewhere. If we do L-E, we need an A somewhere here. We could do A there, but UA isn't great. CA, but AE isn't great. So I'm kind of thinking A here. That's pretty good. We need a D somewhere in the grid, and it can't be in the second or third row or column. So it's going to be either down here or over here in this first column, I think. It could be up here, but if we're thinking clump, could also be something like clunk. There's a few possibilities there. All right, so we're on this third row and column. We really don't have anything to go off of. So one of the good things, part of the theory with media and cough, by the way, is it's the vowels, obviously, but then it's like the middle of the road consonants. And so one of the great things about that is then we haven't used any of the good consonants yet. So now we've got a little more flexibility. There's more possible words we could guess now using the good consonant. If we'd already used R, S, T, L, and, you know, now we're trying to think of what's a word with an M and a G that we can try, you know, things like that. So it's going to be a little easier to guess something here. Now, of course, we can kind of guess anything we want now because we don't really have much in the way of clues. So this time it doesn't really matter too much. But that's sort of the theory behind it. So we want to put a U somewhere. L-E-U isn't great. M-A-U is better. Something like, you know, mauve would be interesting. That's an interesting one. So maybe we try and do a U fourth. I mean, there's no reason to guess this U up here. We could go with something that starts with a P or an L just to kind of potentially rule out clump up here. L is a better letter than P, so we could go L. But what are we gonna do? Could we do something AU? Something like, you know, league, but that's not gonna work. Well, we could also do the L here, actually, which would still let us rule it out potentially up here, because CL is pretty good also. So L there might not be too bad. And we could do LAU. That's pretty interesting, because there's no I or O, so we've got to have a lot of E's, A's, and U's, and probably mostly E's and A's. I mean, just because they're, you know, more common. So something like that could be good. What would we do with that, though, is the question. I actually can't think of anything that works. So, what if we do... well, album is an interesting guess, actually, because... Let's look at this for a minute. So this first column, there's no U. We know there's no I or O. So it has to have an E or an A, clearly, right? Like, unless it's just a Y, but, you know, something like crypt actually would work. So it could be, but most likely it has an E or an A. At this point, we have to sort of assume it's going to have an E or an A. And we do have that there's a yellow A in this second row here. So, you know, A here potentially rules out another spot for an A. Maybe, we don't know. The L is good. I'm thinking U could be a chance that we do need a U somewhere. B and M are letters we haven't done yet. And in fact, the M, we know the M is 4th or 5th over here. So again, this could rule out a spot for the, it could confirm that the M is there. So I think that's pretty good. Although I'm pretty sure the M is there anyways. And B isn't a great letter. So I don't know. It's kind of good and bad. I don't know. I think it's got some good things to it. And if we find out that there is a B somewhere, then that really narrows things down. So let's go with album. Okay. Well, there is a B somewhere. Interestingly, there is an L. I was saying that CL could be good. This is not. Okay, good. It you know, it's always good to find greens. So like the U. But it also did what we were hoping to do. It ruled out the M here. So this is a definite M. It ruled out this as an L though. So, crumb, we'd have the B. That is interesting. Okay, I'm thinking L here, although BL is pretty good too. So, I'm not sure. One of those two. But we know there's no A or U in the first column. There's no O or I. It's got to have an E. I like mauve. I think mauve is really good. The A is either 3rd or 4th here, and I don't like UA, so I think... Oh, no, the white A there. So this is a definite A as well. So it's MAU. What else would it be besides mauve? I mean, I guess you could do malls, right? Like the tiger mauls the zebra or something. But I like mauve better, I think. Although it does, yeah, malls would work. I don't know. I'm not sure which is better, actually, but... Well, I'm on that 4th one. Okay, so... Do I want to guess mauve? We've already got the U. If I can get this one right, that'll help a lot with ending... You know, you got to start getting them right in order to get a high number. It's not going to give us a lot of information about the rest of the grid, though, is the main thing. We know there's a D somewhere. It could be over here, otherwise it's down here. ED could be good. Could have an E here. I mean, there's so many possibilities. And we know there's a U here, but we don't know anything else about that row. So there's so many possibilities still there. Okay. I don't know. I'm tempted to just go for mauve. We could also go for malls, which might give us more information. But I don't want to do the U. Oh, we could do malls this way, actually. And because it probably is about a 50-50 whether it's mauve or malls, actually. And this would give us more information while also still potentially being right. And either way, I feel like I've got a chance of it being right with mauve or malls. And this gives us more information. We're not wasting the U there. Although we know this isn't an L anyways, so how much extra information is it giving us? Probably not much. I guess theoretically it's more information because it'll tell you whether there's 2 L's in one of those words. But all right, if it's mauve, I'm going to be disappointed, but it's got to be mauve. I should have gone with my instincts. I think it's got to be mauve. Okay, well, the L, I mean, we don't have hardly any L's in the grid, but I still don't know if it's CL or BL. BL is pretty good. This could be something like petal. CP is no good, though. C, what's this gonna be? Okay, so it can't be CH. It could be CR. Regal? No, no G. I don't know. BL what? It can't be BLI or BLO. It can't be A. It can't be U. You're not gonna have a double U. It'd have to be an E, I think. Bleed? Bleed is pretty good. It's actually pretty good. I don't hate that as a guess. I'm going bleed. All right, there we go. We got something. We got something. Okay. Very nice. Okay, and we do have the C and the E here. And if these are both R's, we might be able to get by with skipping a guess, possibly, if we can figure these out. So the L is there. I'm thinking CR. What else could it be? C, it's either an R or it's a vowel. But it can't be an A or a U or an O, or it would have to be an E. We'd have a double E. I don't like that. So CR, I think, is what it's got to be, right? And so then renal. Renal would work. And UN, something. And this has definitely got to be mauve, right? I think it's got to be mauve. Okay. And this, okay, crumb, renal. It doesn't, yeah, I think it's got to be an R. I think it's got to be. Okay. So what else do we have? Do we have all of our white letters, I think, are now in the grid somewhere. Oh, we haven't done an S yet. There's an S, and it's not in the 4th row here. Or the 5th row. 4th or 5th row. So it's got to be one of these up here. So, it's not CRS. So it's got to be here or here. What would this be? Unsee? Maybe. You can't unsee that? That could be that's the thing. Otherwise, it's here. Yeah, maybe unsee. Unsee could be good. EVE. So, what is that? EVE. I don't know. Peeve or Reeve? Would this be crepe? Ensue? Rennet is a thing. Etede? No. Crept and tweed and renew. Okay, well, if these are right, we can skip this first. Can we do it? I want to skip the first one and do renal. Okay, so if we do, could I do it in 3? That's what I'm trying to figure out instead of 4. Because we can obviously do it in 4, just doing the columns. If we do crept, that's also going to get crumb. And then renew. Problem is we got to get the V, which we can't get until the 4th guess. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think we can do it. Because if we do crept, that's the best we can do right now, because it's just going to get both of them. Okay, so let's do crept. Okay, I think it's going to take 4 guesses. And now, I mean, we're going to get the N no matter which way we guess it. And all we can do is renew and renal right now. So let's just do renew. Okay, and then I think we're going to have to do, we got to do the 3rd row and column, and then we'll have to get the V on the next one. So unsee. And then we will finish with mauve, which I think was one of the first words that I figured out. Maybe crumb and mauve. So, okay. I mean, it was 7. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I was close. If I'd guessed mauve, would I have ended up with more guesses? I don't know. That's a good question, because we did get more information from malls. You know, we had the S's that we wouldn't have gotten from mauve. So But we would have had the VE. Both of these VEs. Okay, so if I had done media first and then cough, I would have had the M, which I already had the yellow M here anyways. So, and then cough. Yeah, no, cough and then media was the way to go today, for sure. It doesn't always work out that way, but it was definitely the way to do it today. Very cool. Well, crumb, renal, ensue, peeve, and tweed, and crept, renew, unsue, mauve, and bleed. Some interesting words this week. So let me know how your solve went and how many guesses you had remaining at the end. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more.